This week, we present the security news. AT&T employees took bribes to plant malware on the company's network, how hackers could decrypt your GSM calls, 80 suspects charged with massive BEC scam, and how passports and licenses of 300 people were leaked in New Zealand. In our second segment, we welcome back Corey Thune, co-founder at Gravwell, talk about analyzing custom log sources. In our final segment, we air a pre-recorded interview with Chris Hadnagy, the founder and CEO and chief human hacker, well, he's got 3 titles, of Social Engineer LLC, talk about the SE Village Orlando 2020 and the mission that he's created in the company, a nonprofit organization called the Innocent Lives Foundation. All that and more on this episode of Paul's Security Weekly.
This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where exploits run wild, packets aren't the only things getting sniffed, and the cocktails flow steady. It's Paul's Security Weekly. Effectively securing your organization and its reputation requires a smarter approach. To maximize efficiency and minimize risk, security experts turn to Logarithm, the only leading solution built solely for security teams by a security team committed to your success. With next-gen SIEM, user and entity behavior analytics, network traffic and behavior analysis, security automation and orchestration, and compliance, Logarithm provides security made smarter. Is your IT team ready to face the next implementation or upgrade? Do you have a pool of talented team members who are trained and ready to support your organization's growth? The right IT skills development platform can get you past the IT skills gap. With training content that's so engaging, some even call it binge-worthy learning, your team will watch and learn more with IT Pro TV. Get a free team trial of IT Pro TV today. Visit securityweekly.com/IT Pro TV. Are you an enterprise dissatisfied with overpriced analytics software that can't keep up with modern data? If so, then Gravwell is the solution for you. Gravwell is an unstructured data analytics platform for enterprises who demand total data visibility across their network. Gravwell lets your security team go beyond the SIEM and fuse data sources to correlate and answer questions you didn't know needed to be asked. Go to gravwell.io/securityweekly for an unlimited data trial and gain uncompromising visibility today.
And welcome to the show. But first, let me introduce you to a man that has a semi-prime number, Mr. Paul Sidorian.
Welcome, everyone, to Paul's Security Weekly. This is episode 618, recorded on August 29th, 2019, in G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island. That's where we are. Mr. Matt Alderman is to my left.
Aldermania is in the house. Look out. That means we're going long tonight.
What is
That's what she said.
when you came in studio this time, anyhow, I don't know if it's like this every time, but I feel like there's marathon recordings. Like yesterday, what was yesterday?
PSW
No,
Wednesday.
yesterday was
Wednesday, yeah. Today's Thursday.
No, today's Thursday. So we didn't do a show earlier. What did we do?
We did ESW yesterday, Webcast.
We did
yesterday.
ESW.
Webcast today.
ESW yesterday, but we did a webcast yesterday too?
Yeah, we did Webcasts.
And then today, it was just meetings.
And sometimes
Yeah.
it runs long because we talk about the other episodes instead of actually doing the episode.
Who let this guy in?
It's my show. I'm talking, okay? We do a lot of recording when you're here.
Yes,
That's
we
my
do.
point. I thought we did.
Okay.
Wow.
Give me my own show then.
We're working on that. Quick, everybody drink. He's going to say PCI.
Mr. Larry Pesce is here in the studio.
I am.
Welcome, my friend.
Yeah, back from lovely Cincinnati. Stay classy.
Yeah, but you fly into Kentucky.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
You fly to Kentucky and
then you cross the bridge into Ohio, into Cincinnati.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And actually, I spent most of my time actually in Kentucky. So,
because bourbon. But
right,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, they're right there, and everybody, I'm going to Cincinnati. Well, you're flying into the airport. You're actually flying into Kentucky.
Kentucky. Yep.
Yeah.
Good old tri-state area.
Yes.
Yep. And not that tri-state area.
Mr. Jeff Mann, of course, is in the house. Welcome, Jeff. We're on the line remotely.
New host of PCI Security Weekly.
That's actually a pretty good name. I mean, I think we should just go. Maybe we should go with that, or
Maybe Jeff Security Weekly.
are we ready to announce that or no?
Jeff Security never.
We're working on it. We're launching it in
All right.
October, right? That's the goal.
All right. Well, let's tease people because
Let's
let's
do a soft.
Yeah, I was going to say you're going to tease him with the semi.
it's a semi. Yeah, there's a new show. That's all I'm going to say. So there you have it.
And Jeff's hosting it, so you know what it's about.
It can't be,
Nothing, Jeff. Nothing. You're just silent over
it
there.
can't be PCI Security Weekly because then the acronym would be PSW, and that's this acronym. So
Right. Yeah, we can't do
you
that.
can't do that.
Well,
My
I already
database
have
and my software doesn't handle that. Okay.
CSW, Curmudgeon Security Weekly.
Oh, yeah, we could definitely do one of those.
Oh yeah.
Do you think you could get Jack to co-host?
No, he's too busy doing something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. What is it? Jack felt face of the planet.
No,
so to speak.
he's
No,
busy.
just this show,
He's
not the
doing
face
some
of the
other
planet.
stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, exciting news about our webcast program. We're partnering with ISC Squared as an official CPE provider. If you attend any of our webcasts, you can receive 1 CPE credit. You can go to securityweekly.com/webcast, register with our upcoming webcast with Logarithm, Steve Smith, and Jeff Brocher, cloud security, cloud adoption, SaaS, and how you navigate the waters of securing all that stuff.
All that fun stuff.
Previous webcasts are on demand at securityweekly.com/on-demand. We'll be at Hacker Halted in Atlanta, Georgia, October 10th through the 11th. EC Council is offering you, the listeners, a discount of $100 off. To attend the 2-day conference, you can use the discount code HH19SW when you register, or go to securityweekly.com/Hacker Halted. Jeff and I will be speaking there and having cigars. So it's gonna
When
be fun.
does that not change?
Come join us.
It's very true.
It's actually 2 events in one for people who don't know.
It's
There's
true. The CISO.
the Hacker Halted side and then the Global CISO Forum. They're together for the first part, so everybody will hear your keynote, Paul, and then they split apart, and the CISOs have a series of events, and then the Hacker Halted events right next door. So it's going to be a mixed audience. You're going to have CISOs there as well as
And halted hackers.
and hackers who halt will be there as well.
Is that like stunted hackers?
Well, I mean, if you halt, your system just,
You just
shuts
stopped.
down. So
Stopped
yeah.
hackers.
anyway,
DDoS.
that's one way to stop the hackers. Type halt in your system. It's Linux or Unix, and then
Yep. Init 0 works too.
that works too. So to shut down now, all do the same thing. Glad we got that out of the way. Some Linux and Unix tips and tricks right at the top of the segment. We're going to talk about news. I had a couple of articles about bug bounties. If we want to start there or not, it's up to you.
Sure.
Where
Do
Okay.
it.
The 1% problem. So there's 2 in here. So this one says bug bounties continue to rise, but the market has its own 1% problem. Now, this article, this one's from Dark Reading, has a lot of statistics. And it's taken me some time to really analyze all these.
Anal? What?
Analyze
Does
them.
it have pictures?
That's
looks
part of the
like
problem why it took Paul so long.
it has a video, but I'm not sure that it relates to the content. It's an advertisement, so probably not.
Probably not.
One statistic, I'll throw this out there. The average payout for a critical vulnerability has almost reached $3,400, but only the top bug hunters of a field of 5,000 are the ones profiting. Which I guess this is nothing new. We kind of knew this about bug bounties.
Yeah, we knew this, right? There are people that are just they're chasing the money.
Hacking? You mean hackers are hacking the system?
Yeah, I mean
Get
you're gonna
out.
and you're paying them to do it. A $3,400 seems a little low, but we've seen the payouts
That's
come
average,
up.
but
Yeah, that's the average. But
Maybe
we've
that accounts
seen-
for free ones, which would bring the average way down.
Yeah, way down. But I mean, we've seen payouts go up. You know, Google's
Yeah.
announced upping their payouts. Apple's revised their program for higher payouts. I'm like, if you want to go after some bug bounties, I mean, I think an iOS remote execution vulnerability on the phones is like $1 million payout. I mean, they've really upped some of those.
But now the
bug
question
bounties.
is, and this becomes some of the question about some of the bug bounty programs. You know, for something like that, if it's is it $1 million payout from Apple, or is it $1 million payout from some ODA broker who may then resell it to the next highest bidder?
I think in that particular
Wait,
case,
why
it was
limit
Apple.
yourself to the next highest bidder? You could just sell it to everyone and not
Right.
tell the other people that you're selling it to.
But Apple made specific announcements on
Okay, cool.
upping their payouts for
Yeah.
very
Microsoft
specific
has
ones.
as
They
well.
expanded the program, and I'm pretty sure, because we covered this on ASW a few weeks back after Black Hat, I think the top payout is $1 million for an iOS remote exploit, because we know
Yep.
iOS is pretty secure, and so they've upped the bounty, though, to
Yep.
see if somebody can find that. Google's announced higher payouts. I think Microsoft's done some revamps to their program as well. Others not at the same tier as some of these other programs. But yeah.
But HackerOne came out and said that 5 more of their hackers have earned over $1 million.
Yeah, and that's the 1% problem, right? So you
Yeah.
have a core set of guys and gals, maybe, that are profiting off of bug bounty programs and making money, and making good money. But again, they're up to 6 now out of how many people are participating in the program, right? So you've got that top tier of bug bounty hunters out there getting paid.
Right.
The other 90.
I've seen from the sort of the analogies that I've heard about the bug bounty program, and I'm not poo-pooing them at all.
No, I don't think we've said anything that
Right.
poo-poos them out.
Is that you're never going to get rich submitting bugs to a bug bounty program, but it's nice to get paid for your hobby.
Sure. Unless you're one of that.
Unless you're
Those
one of those
people-
professional guys that are just all in all the time.
Right. One of 6, right?
Yeah.
Out of
Well-
30,000+ people that are submitting.
So this one was interesting because they give a time frame. Where is it? It was it's up a little bit. So one of the ones, Santiago something from HackerOne, started in 2015. He's 19 years old and earned $1 million.
So in 2015 to present, he's made $1 million.
Yeah.
So he, $250,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right. That's a pretty good salary.
It's a pretty good salary.
That's not bad.
But arguably, he's one of probably the best on the planet.
How many hours did he put in during working those?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
probably not a 40-hour work week, I'm guessing. Don't know.
Probably
It
not.
depends on how. It depends on so many factors.
Oh,
It's-
yeah.
Right. And then, and the other one too it's kind of, I would think that's frustrating about something like that is that you could put in thousands of hours and have it be a dead end.
Yeah.
Right. And not get paid at all. Can't find
Right.
anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you could make $250,000 a year and work 1 week on, 1 week off, right? So you work a ton of hours 1 week because you're a bug bounty hunter, right? Like you're a free, independent. I mean, contractors even have like a reporting structure oftentimes into the organization as a bug bounty. I mean, you're totally managing your own time and resources, right?
You can work as much or as
1 week
little as you
on,
want.
1 week off, right? And
Maybe 1 week on, 3 weeks
3
off.
weeks off.
You never
Depends
know.
on how big the payout was for
Right. For the last one you found. And again, my guess is some of these folks are going after some of the higher payouts too, which
Sure.
probably takes a little. They're going to
Longer.
take more time,
Mm-hmm.
More skill.
right? And they may do one a quarter. You never know, right? Because it takes them so long to get that payout. They're like, okay, I got to take a break, and then
Sure.
come back to it. So the schedule here is probably all over the place.
I'm sure.
But that's not a bad gig for all those parties involved.
No.
Right? $250,000 a year. You manage your own schedule.
Yep.
And the companies, right, which laundry list of companies that have bug bounty programs benefit from that.
Yep. I mean, hey, it's not a bad deal to, like we're often doing, sitting down after a day of hard work and you sit down on the computer in front of the TV and you're just honking around messing with stuff and, oh, hey, look. And you just spend maybe 20, 30 hours looking at some of this thing over the month and you get paid $6,000 for it.
Right.
It's a nice little bonus to go on vacation with, or
Right.
so you go buy some cigars or some booze or
Or
Hey, agree, Larry.
scissors and fabric.
yeah, there's
you don't,
that too.
You don't have to go to the extremes, right? You can, like Larry's saying, do it as a hobby.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
A nice little.
You could augment your salary with it if you wanted to.
Yep. And
Right.
and sometimes you just stumble upon stupid stuff and you're like, oh, hey, do they have a bug bounty program? And I got $100. Cool. Let's go get some beers.
If nothing else, it makes it easier to report bugs. Right?
Yes.
If they have a program, I don't have to like spin my wheels going to try to find the right person if there is a right person. I mean, that has
Right.
gotten better over the years, but there's still a lot of organizations. You're like,
Hey, I'm going to do
who
the
do I
right
report this to?
I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to report a bug. And oh, you're going to give me a T-shirt?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, that's
Okay.
cool. That's cool.
At least you're not suing me. That's good.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah. There's that, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. That was my one story this week.
That was it?
That's it.
That's
I
it?
have 16 in there, but that was
That was
really-
the big one.
that was the big one.
Did you guys talk about the knob attack last week at all?
We did not.
All right, let's do that one. There's so many jokes.
I know, because I read it.
I mean, it makes it.
Knob attack lets hackers insert themselves into your Bluetooth.
Nothing like
calls.
inserting your knob, right? It stands for key negotiation of Bluetooth.
Now, is this the same or different that we've talked about recently in terms of Bluetooth attacks?
I think the most recent one we talked about was on the low energy side. So this one specifically targets joining the Bluetooth Classic Piconet and pairing devices on Bluetooth Classic. There's been a lapse in research against Bluetooth Classic. Folks have focused on low energy and some other things. We've known that Classic has been potentially vulnerable for years. The problem is that the hardware and the knowledge required to get into Classic is obtuse and expensive and onerous. To really interact with Bluetooth Classic, you need to be able to capture the whole 2.4 gigahertz spectrum, which in itself requires expensive hardware, and then to be able and to
30,000,
roughly 30,000 for a good piece of gear, and then to store that data, you're storing raw radio captures, which are your gigabytes per second of data, and then to do the analysis of that. With this attack, it requires the ability for an attacker to do Bluetooth Classic man in the middle, which is extremely difficult, near impossible.
Interesting. Yet they have a whole fancy acronym for this attack.
Right. It absolutely can be done. You can be man in the middle, and you can force the devices to renegotiate keys and specify the minimum key length of 1 byte, which is then really easy to brute force, which now means you can decrypt all the traffic. The challenge is that's the magic part. The problem is getting that attack framework to actually work for the man in the middle to work, which is...
How do you man in the middle of frequency hopping spread spectrum?
Exactly. That is random based on the master's Bluetooth address, which isn't known unless it's in discoverable mode. Or you can guess.
Or you can force it to Can you force a device into discoverable mode or not really?
You can, by issuing a couple of Bluetooth commands, and to the best of my knowledge, no one has ever been able to recreate those commands. I know folks have been working on that, and that's the LMP claimant has no link key commands for.
Is that research that someone released but didn't tell people how, or is that just a theoretical?
It's a theoretical.
Okay.
So based on the protocol at the LMP layer, the link management protocol, any device as part of the joining of the Piconet can say, "Hey, nope, you can't join the Piconet because reasons," and all of those reasons can vary. Oh, we don't have a set of compatible protocols. Your device type is incompatible with the types that I like to work with. For key exchange, hey, we were paired once, and you think we're still paired, but I lost my keys. So claimant has no link key.
That explains a lot of weird errors and shit that I've had with Bluetooth devices that just won't pair, or once we're paired and not paired.
It's like when I take
software, basically.
Well, when I take this AirBook home, my keyboard and my mouse are Bluetooth connected.
Yep.
And you plug it back in, and you expect it to work, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
So, why all of a sudden doesn't it work this time when it's worked the other?
All the time.
It's like my struggles in the car with Android Auto. Good Lord. Hot mess.
Let's leave the Android discussion for later in the show.
Sure.
So, arguably, there's some patches that need to happen here. This is absolutely a viable attack. The problem is that the setup to make the attack happen is extremely difficult.
So, maybe not as critical.
I would argue not as critical as folks in the media have maybe made it out to be, but definitely something that to pay attention to, because my thing is with the advent and the increase in the development and the adoption of software-defined radio, this is only going to get to a point where this is going to be well within the realms of a modest attacker. So it won't be $30,000. It will it'll be $1,000, and then the next thing you know, it'll be $29.95.
Right, and you can buy it at Amazon. And
Yeah, exactly. So, and there will still be devices out there that aren't patched, like Android.
No. Get out. Shh. People don't patch. Jeff, doesn't PCI say we should patch our stuff?
It does, but it does not address mobile devices. They have continuously kicked the can on that one.
For good reason.
Jeff, do you have stories that you wanted to talk about?
he's got a good one.
All right, let's talk about the good one.
All right, which one do you consider the good one?
The AT&T employees took bribes to plant malware on the company's network.
Yeah, I put this one up mostly because I used to work for AT&T, and I guess I shouldn't see humor in bad guys doing bad things, but it does illustrate that no matter how hard you try, somebody that's motivated, e.g., they're being paid, they can circumvent your best defenses.
Yeah, so do we know who paid them to plant the malware? Is this a nation state?
Fad and Jawani paid more than $1 million in bribes to AT&T employees.
Okay, so was it an individual or was it an individual working on behalf of?
One individual made $428,500.
No. So who was making the bribes, not receiving?
Yeah, that's Fad.
Jeff,
this is your article.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Jeff, was Fad working on behalf of someone, or was it merely his own personal interest?
The article says that he had a co-conspirator, a partner who is now believed to be deceased.
Interesting.
Oh, wow. So which government agency for which government has been disbanded?
And why'd they kill him?
Yeah.
So these guys were Pakistanis. But it does not specify
any political involvement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Does not say that.
And Jeff, I don't know if you can clarify when you said you worked for AT&T. Was that as a government employee at the time, maybe a 3-letter agency that was implanting devices in one of their call centers or in their distribution centers? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
He won't confirm nor deny.
Right. He can neither confirm nor deny.
But I mean, this is a really interesting attack vector that I think we're going to see more of, right? Where you've got people who want to get information, and they're going to go to insiders that are potentially vulnerable to payouts, and have them plant stuff in the network without a lot of detection to get stuff out. And that's why I was curious who this was tied to, because we've seen cases of Chinese and others doing similar types of things to plant malware, to get intellectual property, to do a lot of different things. So, yeah, definitely a concern for organizations as they try to protect their networks.
And this is not new. I mean, back when I was at a certain 3-letter agency back in the 80s, it was discovered that there was, people, we called it espionage back then. But
not the insider threat, right?
It was essentially people got paid off to, steal the encryption keys for, many U.S. crypto systems. And what was interesting at the time, and as it's evolved over time, when I worked there, I had to go through background investigation. I had to do a polygraph and things like that, and they would focus on various aspects of your life. And I don't think this is classified, so I think I can talk about it. We'll find out if the doorbell rings later.
Ding dong.
But one category of questions had to do with lifestyle, and traditionally it was political. What are your political leanings? Are you a member of the Communist Party? That kind of thing.
How do you feel about sex with goats?
No, not that as much. But you're right.
It was more lifestyle, and the claim was, people had been blackmailed because they didn't want their families or coworkers to find out that they had dirty little secrets,
right?
And so they were blackmailed into committing espionage. So they wanted to know all your dirty little secrets so you couldn't be blackmailed. They claimed that it wouldn't be a negative impact on your continued employment, that remains to be seen. But certainly, political aspirations, you have a beef against the government for whatever reason, you're being blackmailed. And then along came these guys that just simply did it for profit. They didn't really have any of these other things. So they had to come up with new questions. How do we figure out that, test people, do the polygraph, do the background investigation to find out if they're the type of people that will just do it for money? And I think one of them, had like a gambling problem or something like that. So they had a lot of debt. So their financial motivation had to do more with, they were poor money managers and they had issues, which again is something you can cover in a background investigation. Yeah. Point being, you're never going to cover every motivation that somebody's going to do if it's simply everybody has a price.
Yeah,
we talked about this earlier with the Gurukul article. Remember, where they sent out a survey, and of not enough people, by the way, and they also said that they asked people like, "Hey, would you take money to like do bad things as an insider in your organization?" And now 40-something% said yes. And my point was like, look, it's one thing to answer either yes or no in a survey. It's another thing to actually take a bribe to put malware on the system, for example.
Right, and do I get to ask questions back, like what kind of thing and how much?
Right.
Right. No, because it's a structured survey. You can't do that.
Exactly.
But I've been interviewed by the FBI for people trying to get certain clearances.
With or without handcuffs on?
Without.
Oh, yeah, because friends that you have...
Right.
Yeah,
they'll use me as a reference,
I went through the same thing.
Because they're going to try to get clearance and work for the federal government. And they do ask questions about,
they weren't really the FBI.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Do they, have you seen any, have they bought any large purchases lately, right? So they're looking for also financial motive in those lines of questions now. Because to your point, Jeff, right, is everybody's probably got a price somewhere, right? And, if you're in financial difficulties or you have a certain lifestyle that you're used to, do you see changes in that? And if you do, then there might be some flags, right?
What's the joke, Matt? Would you sleep with me for $1 billion?
Is that a joke?
Yes.
Paul, would you sleep with me for $1 billion?
Yeah. Yes.
Would you sleep with me for $1?
No.
And the answer,
price.
The answer is, what kind of person do you think I am? I said, well, we've clearly established that. We're just haggling over the price.
I mean, to be quite honest, I do it for free. I mean,
but that joke aside, you see my point. It's all about the motivation.
There's something here, though. I was thinking about this earlier today. We talk about threats and risks, and we tend to beat up on companies and organizations that suffer a breach, and we go on and on about, they're so stupid, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, they didn't do the other thing. Something that we don't discuss often enough, or we don't really wrap our heads around, I don't think, is like, if I walk out on the street, I could get hit by a car. I could get struck by a bolt of lightning. I could get hit by a stray bullet from somebody shooting off their gun in the backyard. There's any number of things that could happen that, if they happened, would cause me great bodily harm. But that doesn't stop me from walking out on the street.
Right. Oh my God, Jeff, how stupid could you have been? Like, what did you were doing outside? There's buses out there.
That's right. But we don't talk enough about all these things that are happening because somebody is a bad guy doing bad things, doing illegal things, and most of the time people don't do that. There are people that are motivated for various reasons to do illegal activity, but every time something happens, there's a victim of a crime, but we don't ever. I shouldn't say ever. We often don't sympathize or empathize with the victim of the company that suffered the breach, and yet in our own personal lives we take all sorts of risks because we do step outside of our house and walk down the street, or we get into a car, or we get into a plane, or whatever.
Or we toast bagels in the bathtub. Any of those.
Any of those silly things. Read the Darwin Awards. But something can always get you, I guess. Something can always get a company. There are no perfect solutions where a company, an organization, a nation state is absolutely 100% totally protected. Nothing bad can happen. So, and it's kind of like your analogy on what kind of person is Paul, and you're haggling over price. I mean, what kind of organization are you working for, or is your customer? And and we're haggling over how much you want to pay for that level of assurance, knowing full well that something that you're not accounting for or not willing to pay for, or really there is no way to afford it, could still happen to you.
Yeah, right. Great flip on that analogy, Jeff.
And I'm pretty sure AT&T put these people through a background check before they got employed.
Yep.
The question is, did they do it on a periodic basis to see if anything changed, right? I mean, that's a very difficult problem to solve for organizations, right? You do it when you bring them on as an employee, you hire them, but if you're not looking at this stuff on a periodic basis, how would you know if their financial situation changed, or all of a sudden they were getting these?
What are the legalities into looking into employees like that too? And that varies by state and by country, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
So, but with AT&T, probably a global organization, right? I would imagine. Just even knowing what you can and can't do in that context is difficult. But also, you can fall back on we're going to try and detect malware in our environment, whether it was put there by an insider or not, which is likely how they discovered. I don't know how they discovered it, but
but was it in firmware? Oh, sorry.
They could, if they were smart,
That's where they would put it, right? Yeah.
Well, if the person paying it out was smart, be like, look, you're going to put this in the firmware, and then tell their friends, he put it in the firmware, so when he gets fired and found out, when they wipe the system, it's going to go right back. Right.
Yeah. Curious how sophisticated this attack was.
Right. And that's depends on a lot of factors.
Yes.
Well, really, the intelligence and skill level of those involved, pretty much.
Well, and in AT&T's defense, I mean, I don't know what they're up to these days. When I worked there, they had something like 400,000 employees, and obviously it's a global company,
right?
And how does anything that you do in terms of background investigation scale? And we haven't even talked about the propensity to outsource and engage with third parties.
Yep. True.
So we can talk about this or not, and really I don't care either way.
In 2018, they only had 268.22 thousand employees, so they're a little less than 400,000.
So I guess a lot of people left when I left.
Coincidence?
Moving on, like I said, we can talk about this or not. I really don't care either way. Unsecured IoT, 8 ways hackers exploit firmware vulnerabilities. But I've hit my article limit apparently with dark reading.
Oh.
I'm not logged in. That's probably my problem. But in any case,
shall I read the 8 ways?
Do you have the 8? I was going to say we could come up with our own 8 ways and see how closely they match what's in the article.
Oh, I'll read the article. You two come up with the 8 ways, and I'll tell you whether you're on or not.
Okay.
Only if we get to talk about 5 ways to improve patching.
Yes, we can talk about that way too. Let's see how far I can get. So default passwords got to be on the list, right?
We should do a pop quiz. Paul guesses them, and we'll see if they're there.
I will put that as weak authentication.
Yes.
Yes. Because it could be default and or weak and or backdoor credentials, which are 3. I would actually list those as 3 different things, but okay.
Yeah, their definition of weak authentication is a little bit different here, but I would say that is weak authentication.
It has to be remotely exploitable web application vulnerabilities, command injection, that kind of thing.
I would count that as unauthenticated access.
Well, I would put that as different. So the way I used to classify these when I did presentations on it was there was the I could exploit a vulnerability, remote command injection, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't require authentication. But then there's ones that require authentication that I could exploit maybe to get some type of attack through, right? And what was their other definition?
So, and this one was unauthenticated access.
Just unauthenticated.
But you know what? So they, if we
there's
reading back through
no password.
If I was
passwords.
or you just navigate to a page and it doesn't care whether you're authenticated or not.
Correct.
And you could do command injection. But I would argue that was not on the list.
Yeah, that authentication bypass is what we.
Yep, that would be
usually
the authenticated access.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't have credentials, but yet if I know the URL, I can go
I can
there,
get there.
and do stuff. Right.
Okay.
What else? There's not validating your firmware updates.
That is not on the list.
Oh, interesting. Because that's. I mean, if I can do any of the things we talked about earlier, and they're not validating that the firmware in any capacity came from the actual manufacturer or is the valid firmware,
put your own on.
I can put my own firmware on it. And we've seen some of the, I speculated about this years ago. I was like, the nastiest attack that I could think of, basically after Larry and I wrote the book together, we started brainstorming and we're like, it'd be really nasty because now we know how to do this. We could make our own firmware that looked just like the Linksys, in this case, firmware, but really had like Paul and Larry's really bad code in it that was scraping passwords and stuff like that.
Hey, before we go too much further in this list, as I'm reading through it, I don't see, it might be there and I missed it, but I don't see any source or any attribution to where they come up with these top 8.
True. They obviously didn't ask myself or Larry.
Right.
Well, and it's interesting, if you read through them, unauthenticated access, weak authentication, password hashes, at least 3 of them have to do with passwords. And then when you get down to the bottom of the things that you can do to make yourself better, none of them have, none of the recommendations have anything to do with passwords.
Yikes.
Right.
All right.
So,
I have to say insecure protocols that could be accessible inside or outside PNP, HNMP. Right?
I think that rolls up under open source code, e.g. OpenSSL.
No, that's not on there.
At least in part.
But Jeff, is that on the list? Open source code
is on the list.
That has vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
I said
that's knowing your binaries.
But no,
that's
we protocols. No, I would say no on that.
Interesting. Stuff about Wi-Fi. Leaking Wi-Fi passwords or basically wireless vulnerabilities in general. Typically, as Larry, right, and most of us know, persist on these devices. I mean, we saw way back in the day where, what was the initial protocol? It's gone through changes where if I had a Linksys card back in the day and a Linksys router, like I could push a button on the router and it would automatically sync my keys, so I didn't have to.
WPS.
WPS. Thank you. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That was
what does
the
that
easy
stand for?
setup.
Wi-Fi perfect?
Wi-Fi protected setup.
Protected setup. That's right. Yes. And there's been multiple iterations of that similar kind of.
Effectively.
Which I never used.
I don't know if they still do it anymore. Do they?
Yep. And WPA3 is looking to replace it with DPP or device provisioning protocol.
Interesting. All right. So obviously I'm not guessing anything on the list. Might as well
all right. So your list might be
better, actually.
So. Here's the list. 1, unauthenticated access. 2, weak authentication. 3, hidden backdoors.
Yeah.
4, password hashes. Stuff that's stored on the device you have access to. You can decrypt the hashes. Encryption keys. Buffer overflows. Open source code and debugging services.
Interesting. Yeah, debugging services is a good one because the Android debugger. What is it? ADB, Android debugger, right?
Yep.
That's used to basically upload packages, and then if you do the other setting where you can upload packages that don't have any kind of trust level or certificate, right? That's how you get.
That's how you get things. That's how you get ants.
Like Cody on your device.
Right.
But most people set that setting and just leave it there, which means anyone can use that protocol and service to put packages on your device.
However, the topic was IoT devices, not mobile devices.
But so many IoT devices now are running Android.
Really?
Hence my story number something that I thought I put in there about Android TV being hacked.
So I have one. My number 3, Android set-top boxes primed for malware.
Yes. So it was yours. I read your story and said we should talk about that. Yeah.
Yep.
So Jeff, in addition to, I think does it have the most devices worldwide, Android, in terms of mobile devices? Usually when I look at, it was a while since I've looked at statistics.
I think Android did cross over iOS a couple years
ago.
In any case,
a stupid semantic question. If
they were bought by
is running
Broadcom.
by if a device is running Android operating system, is it by default considered a mobile device?
No, because Android's used in all kinds of different applications,
Right, so-
including Android TV for set-top
Right. Well,
boxes.
like my LG TV at home runs Android.
Android, yeah. TVs
And
run
it's
Android.
not terribly mobile because it's a 65-inch TV. It's really heavy.
Yeah. I mean, if you put wheels on it, it might be mobile.
Yeah.
If you install that in your car or your van, does that mean it's mobile?
But now that
device?
said, that those little teddy bears that we worked on, it turns out it was an Android tablet inside and was running a
Right.
version of Android. And well, that's mobile, but that's more IoT than mobile.
Than mobile, because you're
So-
not.
Right.
Yeah, it depends on how you define mobile. If you're
Right.
thinking about mobile from a mobile phone
mobility standpoint,
communication
yep.
perspective, then no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So
using
just
the OS
because
for-
it's running Android and it's not a mobile device, by definition, is it more likely to have the debugger staying with it? I'm irritated because Larry said I was wrong about something.
Well, most people use the
Love you, Jeff.
debugger
Love
like
you,
on
Jeff.
their TVs, and so Amazon Fire Sticks are Android, right?
Yep.
And
Right.
most people enable the debugger there and turn off the package signing checking feature so that they can upload other Android packages and software that aren't normally
to enhance the feature
available.
set of what's available.
basically
from the
to
manufacturer.
install an app called Kodi, which in and of by itself is not allowing you to pirate content, but through add-ons that do allow you to pirate content, highly illegally, I might add. That's why people mostly do it. So when you see hacked Fire Stick, that means they've likely one of the better ways to do it is to enable the debugger and disable the package signing so that you can then do that. There's other ways to do it too. You can put a browser on your Android TV device and go browse to a URL and download the package, which
is
doesn't
why-
require the debugger,
Which
but
is-
does require turning off the checking of signed packages, which is also inherently a weakness.
which
but
is why
together, it's bad.
iOS is better.
In that sense,
Yes,
maybe more secure. I don't know,
more
better,
secure because
but
it's gotta come from iTunes.
unless you're
from
running
s-
12.4,
App
and then basically it turns it into Android at that point.
No, I would argue that it doesn't,
Valid jailbreak on 12.4.
but not remote.
No, certainly not remote. You're right.
And,
Yes.
but to some of my other stories that I was really hot and heavy about Android this week for whatever reason.
I noticed that.
And it was just coincidental that it just all happened
You
to
have
come
a
up.
man crush on Android this week.
No, I do not have a man crush on Android.
It's more of a
He's
peche
holding a
crush.
Mac, and an iPhone is next to him in the
It
chair,
is.
right?
It is. I am almost to, and no Apple Watch though. Fitbit, because I broke my Apple Watch.
But and the screen on your phone.
Yeah.
Is that all recent?
Yep. Yeah, that was yesterday.
You
Yep.
broke your watch and your phone?
No, the watch has been broken for a while. I actually broke one of my Garmin's and had to buy a new one. And I cracked the screen on my phone yesterday. Brand new iPhone XS Plus.
See, Android doesn't have that problem. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, because you're too busy not dropping it because you're trying to get all the malware off of it. And that for me, that's one of the differentiators between Apple is you very rarely hear about an Apple iPhone or something of the like receiving an application from the iTunes store
Right.
that has embedded malware of some variety. And two of my stories this week were like, well, hey, the set-top boxes are primed for getting malware on them.
Yep.
A Notepad app and a fitness app was going and in the background clicking on advertisements on web pages so that the owner of the apps could make ad revenue type of thing. So doing things that it shouldn't be doing. And then Cam Scanner actually has a malware component built into it, and it has been installed on more than 100 million devices.
What is Cam Scanner?
Cam Scanner takes
Android app?
it's also for iPhone. Takes a picture of you take a picture of something, and it turns it into a PDF, and can do like text OCR
stuff. Yeah.
OCR stuff.
Yeah, use it to like scan business cards and that kind of stuff.
Yep, we use it. I use it for SANS when we teach remotely, like at an on-site or something. Like we have to take pictures of our evals every day and submit them, and we use Cam Scanner to take a picture of it. And it lines them all up nice, and then it PDFs them and sends them off.
Interesting.
But only malware on the Android side, not the iTunes side. And I think this is where Apple's done some things really well.
Yep. Now,
And
that said, I haven't independently confirmed, and I don't know that the article's independently confirmed that the versions for iOS didn't contain it. But based on what I know about the two differences about the Wild West at the Google Play Store versus what we see with the iTunes Store that actually has some analysis done, I'd say probably not in the
Did it say
iTunes
how
side.
malware got in this app?
Yeah, they put it there.
They put it there.
They
It's
put it
embedded.
there.
They put
Yeah.
it there.
They
The
admitted, or
developers.
they found the developers put it there on purpose.
Yep.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
thought it was something
And
more
that's where
sensational, like our developers got hacked and a third-party actor was able to slip code in.
I think that's where Apple does a better job in their store of vetting the products that come into iTunes that is then downloaded onto your machines. I think
Do you think
iOS.
that's easier for Apple because they control all the hardware and the ecosystem, whereas Google with Android, as we've already said on the show,
yeah.
Android runs on like all kinds of different devices, from TVs to set-top boxes to phones, and phones not just in the U.S. but in all these different countries from all these different manufacturers with all these different hardware platforms. Whereas Apple's like, yeah, we know we have all these iPhones and we control the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, we've had. I know we've talked about this. It's probably been a while, but there's pros and cons to both approaches, right? Apple does have control of the hardware platform. I think iOS has done a really good job of isolation of the iOS operating system itself, so things can't break out of its container and infect others. Android doesn't have some of those same safety mechanisms.
Well,
Plus,
they try, but usually those subsystems have vulnerabilities that allow apps to talk outside of their
but iOS,
container, for lack of a better term.
iOS kind of locks that down. You have a lot of variation of hardware platforms in Android, so I think it's a lot harder to test against certain test cases. So yeah, it's probably harder,
and
that's why Apple
and
does
every
a
one of the
better job.
carriers can modify their versions of firmware, their versions of Android for their devices. And
You know, it's interesting. We were just talking about, like, if you develop an app inside of a container and you've got it on one platform, and then let's say you move it up to your staging server, which runs conceivably the same underlying operating system. It's, the same container, and your app breaks because, well, like, reasons, right? Like, because there's stuff that changes, even just going from the same, like, platform with the same container. So now try and apply security to a model where the software changes slightly, or maybe
and the hardware,
even,
and how it's
changes,
compiled,
right.
and all the things, right? So yeah, I mean, when you look at containerization, right, you still have dependency on the kernel.
Yeah.
And if the kernel varies, which it can in Linux,
or your
then
environment,
or you get some different variations, you have an impact. And if you think about all the probably compiled versions of Androids for all the different hardware, think about all the nuances that have to be tested against. That's hard. It's really hard. That's why I'm an Apple guy.
Which is probably why they don't do it.
Right. Or can't discover it, maybe. They might try to do it, but maybe it's just too difficult of a problem to solve across all the platform variants.
I just dish out the ridiculous money for the Google phone, the Pixel, and they give you the updates for that platform, and you get the latest Android updates.
Yep. And of the Android devices that I have bought that I really enjoy are all from Google.
Yep.
Because Google, the quote manufacturers of Android, you get direct support from them. You get all the updates immediately.
Yep.
They have a very defined timeline in which they will support the device. You get now extra crapware. It all comes down to
I feel like extra crapware is an important point, because I feel like when I get a phone from another manufacturer other than Google, like it comes with malware. I feel like all that crap that you can't install unless you like basically jail or break out of it or hack it in some way.
Yep. Now that said, everything you download from the Google Play Store is all bets off.
Right.
So.
Right. And the same for the Chromebook from a Google perspective, right?
Sure.
You're getting the same benefits on a Chromebook that I think that you would also get on an iPad in the case of Apple.
A Chromebook from Google.
Right.
Because
A
Google has
Chromebook
their...
from Google versus some of the other variants. But if you've got a tablet with Android from another manufacturer, all games are off.
Like Huawei? I have a Huawei Android tablet. I feel like it's not even Android.
We have a couple Kotan firewalls too. So.
Anyway,
we do
digress.
We do have our next interview available on the call.
Waiting in the wings.
Waiting in the wings, and I do believe our glasses are empty.
Oh,
so you're saying we should round this out?
That means I got to shake another one.
Let's round it out.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Hey, we're going to take a short break. Come back with Corey Thune of Gravwell. Stay tuned.